Hello, I'm Jody Wolf. You're watching Expoz. June 13, 2016 at 2:05 a.m. Birmingham. And the topic, Operation Paperclip and the Roswell UFO crash. Are there any ties with the two? And I've just got something short here that hit me one day recently, and so I started writing up and what I knew and then researching what I didn't know and kind of put a little bit together. But it's very interesting what I have. And so I'm going to get on my page here. Werner von Braun came here through Operation Paperclip with 1,500 other scientists in October 1, 1945. He seemed to be their crown jewel, or at least he was portrayed to be. And there's things that he knew that other people didn't know. And I'm sure there was many in the background that were never discussed that maybe probably had more information than he did. But where did Germany get this man, and how did he get his technology? When they talk about him going through so many schools and colleges, his mother even said, well, he was a poor student. But at the age of 13, when he read a book about something about rockets and outer space that intrigued him, and he found his niche. He found his interest, and he dove into it, and he excelled beginning at the age of 13. And that's probably true. I have no doubts about that. And he had a lot of schooling, but then not enough to, anyway, I won't even go there. But he came in October 1, 1945, again with 1,500s, and he came first to Fort Bliss, Texas, and I don't know how long he was there, not long, and then he went to White Sands, New Mexico. White Sands, New Mexico is not too far from Roswell. And then he went to Huntsville, Alabama, Redstone Arsenal, and then from there to Cape Canaveral, Florida, and then back to Redstone. And he bounced around between places, but he retired in 75. But he took a new position, a new job in 75, vice president of the Fairchild Industries. And that tells you something there, does me. Anyway, how did he come about with so much knowledge so quickly? I mean, they had these V2 rockets that America took from Germany and brought here, and many of them were usable. In fact, one of them crashed in Mexico, just across Del Rio border there. And but what I'm getting at is Operation Paperclip and the 1947 Roswell UFO crash. I don't know the history with UFOs in America a whole lot prior to that, only what I've read and, pictures and things, and they seem to keep most of it hid. And it was only individuals that would talk about seeing UFOs and things like that. There's been other crashes that they've not even discussed. Still, it's not down yet where you can read it, but yet there's people that know about them. But why? why did that UFO crash in Roswell? That's not a long way from Fort Bliss either. And again, what I'm getting at, did von Braun have information where he had already been in communication with these so-called aliens or little grays prior to Operation Paperclip, him coming here to America, being kidnapped, taken from Germany? That was part of the spoils of war. And I bet there are ties. And the ties, I think, came from at least one book of Enoch. Keep in mind, Enoch wrote 366 books. You can read 2 of them. Word is that there may be more at the Vatican. Word is that Hitler had a couple. Otherwise, he would not have had the power he had. He had to invite and sell his soul to Satan to get what they had to offer. And it was they promised him the same thing that Jesus promised. That Satan promised Jesus when he carried him to a high mountain. Which is, look, today for people to get rich and filthy and have so much knowledge, it had to be given to them back then. We're on prop airplanes, and in fact, I knew the man's wife, Twibeli, that invented the Venturi carburetor. That meant an airplane could fly sideways or upside down and continue the fuel flow to the engine without stalling. Prior to that, airplanes could not get sideways, and I'm talking about parallel, 90 degrees with the ground. The engines would starve for gas and the engines would die. But he invented the Venturi that forced the fuel right on through to the jets that spread into the cylinders. And, but anyway, von Braun brought with him rocket knowledge. We've never heard of rockets back in that day. But he did. He had it, and he made them. So I think that the same book or books that Hitler had when he did his long speeches, the entity would go into him and speak for him. When the speeches were over, he was always exhausted. They said he was like a dish rag, limp. And this entity would leave him, and they'd actually carry Hitler arm in arm off the stage or wherever he was. Not always. He had short speeches, but these long ones took its toll on him. But he had to have had a book of Enoch, maybe 2. And maybe this book, portions of it, he let von Braun and other scientists take it and build out of this book the design that this book had in it that explained how to build it, just the way that they taught men how to make weapons and they taught women how to make makeup and taught men the art of war and the women the art of seduction. That came from their knowledge that was put down in the books of Enoch. There's books still out there, a lot of them, and I think still somewhere in the Vatican, but I think they are sealed off. I don't think even the Pope can read one, it would change him to something else. Maybe he will soon, because the Pope will change. But I'm just wondering now, is it Obama the one that, since he's so hell-bent on going after the UN job from Cameroon? Anyway, maybe the UFO, the people that actually were in contact with von Braun and some others, crashed in New Mexico while coming to him. What else would have brought him here? I mean, it makes sense if you think about it. He came in 45, they crashed in 47, and he came here in October 1, 1945, and they were here July the 3rd, 1947. Like, where's the guy we know? Maybe it happened. And something else I want to mention, and this is getting off the subject, but I'll end this one. So, just some food for thought. And I believe truly that they were here looking for von Braun. I think they followed him here. I think they knew exactly where it was, because the timing was perfect for them to be in that part of the world, the same area that von Braun was in. And now let me go on and talk about something that's been on my mind. Go back to the good old days when you didn't murder children because you want sex, but not from, and want the consequences. That's a gift from God. Children are a gift from God, but yet they got off of that, and they were having sex and aborting babies, or they're having babies, giving them up, and then when abortion, Roe versus Wade came in, they started killing all of them. And one more thing I want to say, don't tone down Donald Trump. They keep saying Donald Trump, tone it down and you will do better. You'll get more people. No, he won't. He got the people on the way he is. And that's why he needs to remain hardcore up front. And they're all thieves. They fear him, and Trump will do well if he continues his current line of thought. Everything that's on his mind, he says it. He doesn't care. But that's what we want. That's what we need to hear. And Paul Ryan, take that boy back home. Let him get back on his Tinker Toys. He was better doing that. And those who won't join Trump, then get off the field and get on the porch and watch. Because it's going to run right by you and leave you in the dust. Jody Wolf Expoz.